Look at this footage. Watch it closely. You're witnessing a modern basketball phenomenon, but not the kind that belongs on a masterpiece mixtape. This is the absolute peak of modern NBA theater. The whistle blows, the whistle always blows.
And how did you see it from 40 feet away on the other side of the court?
Maybe you could say there was some lower extremity contact that deemed that enough.
This isn't a rookie fighting for a roster spot or a bench player trying to survive. This is the absolute pinnacle of basketball talent, flailing like a fish out of water. This is foul baiting brought to a level of shameless artistry that borders on an absolute disgrace to the sport. He's a player with every tool imaginable to dismantle a defense honestly, yet he treats the basketball court like a slip and slide, diving to the floor after seemingly every single shot. It leaves us staring at a deeply frustrating reality. How can someone so undeniably brilliant be so utterly unwatchable?
See where the contact is. Oh, that wasn't a foul, Reg. Here's the clearing of space right there. Pump fake, he goes for it. Jumps right towards them, and there's the contact.
It's taken out from under him by Gilgeous-Alexander in Spock, and Gilgeous-Alexander went pretty early.
Great fake here on Wemby. Well, Wemby doesn't even leave the floor here to get the...
This video is not a hit piece on a lack of talent. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a basketball genius. He's the two-time reigning NBA MVP. He's won a championship, a finals MVP, the head of the snake for the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder, and an absolute maestro of pace, deceleration, and mid-range execution. He just completed a historic season leading the Thunder to 64 wins, scoring over 30 points a night on an ungodly, hyper-efficient 55% from the field. But beneath the historic accolades lies a toxic psychological compromise. Shai has broken the unwritten rules of basketball dignity. Despite possessing a bag deep enough to cook any defender alive, he refuses to play the game upright. He has normalized foul baiting, grifting, and flopping to such an extreme that it is actively eroding the competitive fabric of his own team. This matters because a superstar's habits eventually become a franchise's identity. When your back-to-back MVP leader sells his soul for the whistle on every possession, he isn't just buying free throws, he's building a culture of manipulation. We're transitioning out of the era of grit and entering the era of the one big flop fest. And if the DNA of the Oklahoma City Thunder becomes entirely about buying and selling calls, their championship foundation will rot from the inside out.
It's so frustrating to play this team because they foul a ton, and then you can't really touch Shai.
46 seconds, back in quick. SGA shoots over him. Contact.
To understand how we arrived at this breaking point, we have to establish the baseline reality of who Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was supposed to be. When the Thunder traded for him, he was praised for a quiet, professional demeanor. He wasn't a loud, boisterous, look-at-me guard. On the court, his actions spoke volumes. He operated with a unique, deliberate tempo, a master of slithering into the paint, utilizing hostage dribbles and finishing with an elite touch. The pregame expectations for his rise were rooted in pure fundamental basketball. The world expected a mid-range assassin who used IQ and leverage to dominate. But the harsh reality that was manifested over his back-to-back MVP campaigns is a jarring, loud contradiction to that quiet demeanor. Somewhere along the line of becoming a superstar, Shai realized that the whistle was the ultimate cheat code. The elegant slither transformed into a calculated grift. The friction here is agonizing. You watch him completely paralyze a defender with a beautiful crossover, pure basketball bliss, only for him to intentionally create contact, snap his head back as if he just took a sniper round to the jaw, and collapse to the ground. It's an offense built on a lie. He doesn't just invite contact, he fabricates it out of thin air, sometimes not even being touched, forcing referees into a corner night after night. He has elite size, supreme length, and unmatched touch, making the constant, shameless floor flopping not just unnecessary, but a massive stain on his sheer basketball brilliance. You can only trick the system for so long before the rest of the world starts pushing back. The reaction across the league has escalated into a boiling pot of pure frustration. Opponents are losing their minds. Elite perimeter defenders do everything perfectly. They stay on their feet, contest cleanly, and avoid reaching, only to watch Shai launch himself sideways into their chest, yell, drop to the floor, and march straight to the charity stripe. The media narrative is beginning to fracture too. While the stat sheets celebrate his historic efficiency, fans and analysts are openly voicing their disgust with the sheer aesthetic of his game. Opposing coaching staffs are sending tape to the league office, begging for accountability. But the most dangerous escalation isn't happening in the media. It's happening internally. This foul-baiting virus is actively mutating the culture of the Thunder. Look at the young core. They worship Shai. He's their leader, their champion, their two-time MVP. Naturally, his habits are bleeding into their DNA. Slowly but surely, the entire Oklahoma City Thunder roster is transforming into a synchronized theater troupe. Instead of fighting through screens and playing with physical force, the team's instinct is shifting towards buying and selling calls. They're learning that throwing a tantrum and hitting the floor is easier than executing through heavy contact. The stakes are rising dramatically because this trickles down. It erodes the collective mental toughness of a young squad. They are trading real, sustainable physical grit for the temporary high of a generous whistle. Maybe this shift doesn't burn them in full during the 2026 playoffs, but if they continue down this path, it will.
Wemby loading up.
Steps back, throws the contact, and gets 3 free throws.
This brings us to the ultimate breaking point, the inevitable wall that every grifter eventually runs into. The thesis proves itself when the bright lights of the deepest postseason rounds take over and the unwritten rules of refereeing change. Over time, refs are human. They catch on, they watch film, they internalize the shame of getting duped on national television by a player who spends more time on the floor than on his sneakers. And when the playoffs reach their physical apex, the whistle vanishes. When that moment arrives, the antagonist isn't the opposing team, it's the Thunder's own warped identity. Shai has spent years relying on the emergency break of a foul call. His ability to score through real, unadulterated adversity atrophies. When he falls to the ground expecting a savior in a gray shirt and no whistle blows, the entire offensive engine stalls. The team collapses because they forgot how to be tough. The DNA is exposed as a house of cards built on referee manipulation, and when the grift fails, they're left entirely naked against a truly physical opponent.
The league, and he understands the responsibility. I know there was talk after Game 5, but check his track record, what he's done.
When the history of this era is written, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's name will undoubtedly be etched alongside the greats. The consecutive MVPs, the staggering efficiency, and the regular season masterclass are forever real. So is his legacy as a finals MVP. But legacy is a delicate thing. It isn't just measured by the hardware you stack in your trophy room. It is defined by the spirit in which you play the game. When the history of this era is written, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's name will undoubtedly be etched alongside the greats. The consecutive MVPs, finals MVP, the staggering efficiency, and the regular season masterclass are forever real. But legacy is a delicate thing. It isn't just measured by the hardware you stack in your trophy room. It's defined by the spirit in which you play the game. If Shai doesn't look in the mirror and adjusts, he risks becoming the modern archetype of a tragedy, a player so transcendently gifted that he chose to be a grifter anyway. The Oklahoma City Thunder have all the pieces to build a long-standing, respected dynasty, but if they allow their culture to be defined by a never-ending loop of flop fests and buying calls, they'll chase away the very respect a true champion commands. It will completely erode their toughness, and they'll become known not for their greatness, but for their theater. We've already seen its impact beginning in the 2026 Western Conference Finals. As soon as the national narrative shifted its focus to SGA's flopping, you could tell the vibe and the energy around the Thunder changed. It took SGA himself time to adjust to not getting the calls and to cease the theatrics. It impacted him. And while he obviously figured it out in time for Game 7, all of a sudden there was a chink in the armor, and the San Antonio Spurs took full advantage. Will Shai stand tall and lead his team with the unshakable force of an all-time Titan, or will he continue to fall to the floor, selling his immense basketball soul for a handful of cheap whistles? The choice is his, and the basketball gods are watching closely.
The crowd clearly trying to get in your head with some chants. What does that do for you? Does it fuel you?
It does nothing. It doesn't fuel me. Doesn't discourage me. It's part of the game. It's nothing. I've been dealing with it for a long time. I don't really hear it. I'm focused on what's going on the court.
Shai, congratulations and thank you so much.
Appreciate it.